Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we will continue asking questions, referring the question about Guru and his disciple. Last time we were talking about preaching, but this time, according to the desires of the devotees, we are talking about a Guru and his disciple. So what is the definition of a Guru? Who is Guru? If we give him a definition, who is it? Well, the supreme definition of a spiritual master is Vaishnava. A Vaishnava by definition is already a Guru, and Guru is Vaishnava. So Guru, in general, is a person, it can be a person that is already practicing devotional service. He's already confirmed in Brahman. He's already stable in Brahman. It is said that having gone through so many cycles of birth and death and then having reached the Brahman, not a stable position. Even if you have reached Brahman, you're still not stable there until you realize that Vasudeva is everything. So only then you reach the devotional service. So this person is considered to be Brahmanisham. He is considered to be stable. He's not going to fall down again, and he will be engaged in devotional service. Can Guru be Kanishta Adhikari, or only Uttama and Madhyama Adhikari? No, Guru is Vaishnava of any level. It's just there are different categories. Vartma Pradakshaka Guru, Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru. As a rule, Diksha Guru is given by a person with a great experience, spiritual experience. He's supposed to be free and following the instructions of the scriptures. All other categories, they can also be gurus, but they can take the disciple to a definite level. Initially, Uttamadhikari, that's what the guru should be. We are all, so Srila Prabhupada is Shiksha Guru for all of us, is Uttamadhikari, and all the other categories of gurus, they're all existing in ISKCON, but they all serve to Uttama. That's how we support this connection. You know, we say that if the disciple is ready, then the guru is ready as well. So this ritual of initiation, what is it? Maybe some kind of an internal process? What moment of life can we say that, well, for example, Dhruva Maharaj meets Narada Muni, and just by speaking to him, was it already an initiation? Well, we all start out from this. All these relationships with Guru, they all start out from this. That's about the human form of life. At least we have to be interested in the spiritual knowledge. We have to ask about the spiritual knowledge. So that's when these relationships between Guru and disciples start. And after the initiation itself, it's very remarkable that sometimes Vaishnavas, they do not know what's going to happen next. For example, if this Vaishnava had been doing some sports and then he understands that there has to be some symptoms. So I'm doing this sport, I have to become stronger, I develop my body. But in spiritual life, sometimes Vaishnava can be confused. For example, having been initiated, we do not know what to do next. So what are the symptoms, what are the signs and criteria of our spiritual progress after the initiation? Stage by stage. Well, that means everything that you've just described. It means that you have accepted your spiritual master. So that's the first stage, and the second stage, you've been initiated. The third stage is to follow the instructions of your guru. So now this disciple should keep in mind the instructions of his guru and follow these instructions. Only in this case you can progress spiritually. So what are the criteria? Can this disciple evaluate his progress himself? Well, yeah, to some extent. He may feel some enthusiasm, some happiness because of the devotional service. Everyone following the instructions of Guru becomes a happy person. That's the main criterion. And since this process is happening eventually, you may ask questions. You may ask your Guru questions. So what am I supposed to do, Guru Maharaj? Guru Maharaj says, just chant Hare Krishna mantra attentively, and then engage yourself in devotional service. Then he comes again in 1 year. He says that I'm going through some difficulties. What am I supposed to do? And Guru Maharaj says again, chant Maha Mantra attentively, engage yourself in devotional service, and be patient. So, and then this disciple understands that his Guru keeps saying the same thing. And then this disciple understands what he's supposed to do by himself, independently. So the point is that the most important things there are not changed. Real, things are different. Sometimes life is changing, but the point is that all these instructions, they are very pure. You just have to follow the instructions. And then the disciple sees that the Guru does just the same things. He chants my mantra, Krishna, he is patient, and he continues his devotional service. So what are the obstacles for the disciple to take on this mission? So when we accept Guru, we also take on the mission. Sometimes the disciples, they just don't go and understand what the mission is and how to accept it, and the obstacles that we might face. The mission means that we have to go up front and expose ourselves to the bullets of Maya. So we have to be prepared, right? We can't just go to the front. Well, there have been some occasions like this, but it's not correct. First, you have to be prepared. First, you have to know what to do. Like, you have to understand what this military thing is. Right, you have to go through some training. On the other hand, a person might be prepared. He's got some skills. He understands that I might die because of Maya. That's another phase of illusion. There can be a real obstacle, and then there can be an obstacle only in your mind. Because when you are in the front, Krishna will protect you himself. So this fear, it means that this fear is just an illusion. The illusion is also in that a person might hesitate. If I complete this mission, will I be supported financially, materially? There are different positions that exist. And if you take part in this mission, it also can be different. Sometimes you engage yourself into this mission fully. Again, you also have to have some skills, qualification. If I immerse myself fully into this mission, but I have no qualification, I will not make it. It's not possible. So the person has to regulate how long he can serve the mission effectively, and at some stage he can just support himself independently. So by regulating these things, this person gains some power, some strength, and then eventually he surrenders to Krishna, as everybody else. Very often it is talked about the disciplic position. What is it? What does it mean? From the psychological perspective, what is this set of mind? The position means that no matter what, I am a disciple, not only in the face of my Guru, but I am always a disciple. That's my position. I always learn. I can learn from my spiritual brothers. There are different forms of gurus, right? In the 11th canto of Bhagavatam, 24 types of guru, right? And it's not the limit. There can be even more. So this is the explanation to the position of a disciple. And then in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a very interesting detail. It is said there that at some stage, a disciple can become guru for himself. Is there any danger in it? His own intelligence, his own body can become guru for himself. Isn't it tricky? Isn't it dangerous? Some people may say that I'm guru myself. Why do I need to accept some initiation? So this position, most of the people they have this position, don't want to take an authority. So first you have to accept your guru and follow his instructions. Only after that, after you have some base, some fundament. The point is that if you don't have guru and you think that you're guru yourself, this is too arrogant. It's not true, it's not correct. So this text refers only to some experienced Vaishnavas. The role of self-discipline is really important here for the disciple. When a person reaches the level of Goswami, he can have his way in life. Sometimes we're afraid of the process of anartha-nivriti, so this stage of purification. So how is a disciple supposed to go through this stage correctly? There are so many myths, frightening myth that this is something terrible and incredible, but on the other hand, the process of Krishna's consciousness is positive. So how do we go through this process of purification correctly and understand that I've already gone through it? Well, sometimes it occurs that if a disease is really hard, it's really difficult to get cured. But if it's not so painful, the point is that if we all live in Kali Yuga, we're all have all these diseases right now, we're all ill, sick. Even having gained all these instructions from Shastras, we still hesitate, our mind still hesitates. Even though we have all this knowledge, we still believe in material existence. That's why there will be some treatment, of course. Sometimes some hard medicines are used, or some regular, usual things like sadhana. You have to wake up in the morning, early in the morning. Maybe not so pleasant, but for some people it's such a difficult practice to wake up early in the morning, or get rid of intoxications. For some people it seems to be just impossible. But the most difficult part is that the purification of your heart, or purification of your heart and mind. So these processes are not so hard, but the subtle purification of the heart is the most difficult thing. For example, you are cleansing the cauldron, like a pot. You clean away with water, but there's some soot that's already deep inside this pot. So that's why it's going to take us a long time, and it will seem to us that I've been working so hard for so many years. When will it end? Is it even possible? So there's a comparison. When the heart is like a piece of coal, can you wash away the coal? No, coal still remains a coal. But the point is that when we do something, when we work on our heart's purification, and we put some effort, it's like when a coal transfers, turns into a precious stone, this transformation is magnificent. So you're not supposed to lose hope. You have to be basing on the experience of previous acharyas, and the success is guaranteed. Is anartha-nivriti always an internal process? It's like a fight between the dark and light sides of ours. Just sometimes there are some frightening factors that we face, and Vaishnavas are all suffering as well. And they might have some questions about hesitation. So why do Vaishnavas suffer? He's already on the spiritual way, right? Spiritual path. And it seems like all these bad things, they should go away, but all the good things should come up to the surface. But we see that sometimes Vaishnavas, they go through a lot of miseries. Like Ajamila, remember, he's been through a very difficult situation. of Bharata Maharaj? Is it just a law that we all have to go through such severe tests and trials? Like Bharata Maharaj, he was born as a deer in his next life. Diseases that we all have, some sudden accidents. So when these severe trials come to our life, alone, together with them, Krishna sends us the formulas of survival under these conditions. Externally, it may appear that devotees, they go through the same sufferings, the same miseries. But internally, a devotee, he is feeling all these transformations differently, on a different level. It's like when devotees, they turn out to be in a surgery room, on a surgery table. A lot of evidences of that. And then devotees, they say they were so happy, actually. They saw Krishna. The doctors said that these patients, the devotees on the surgery table, they were chanting Hare Krishna. Even when they were sleeping, these devotees, they were chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Even while sleeping, so Krishna was there. One devotee, Mataji, she told me that she was so happy, she saw Krishna, he was looking at her, and when she was brought back to life, she was missing that condition very much. She wanted to go to the surgery table again. So from this point of view, it's difficult to understand. Bhaktichara Maharaj also had a question, why such a Vaishnava of such a high level passed away a year ago. And then I've heard in my Guru Maharaj's lecture, he's mentioned about it. He said, I was sad that when Bhaktichara Maharaj, when he died, when he left his body, he was smiling. His face had a smile. So that's an internal side of it all. So it might be also a process of anartha nivriti, it turns out. What if a person takes on this austerity, just to remember about Krishna, so his life may seem to be more harmonic? Well, we can survive all these miseries with help of the external energy. For example, divorce, it's also quite an unpleasant situation. You can go through this karma, you can survive it, but at the same time, you not even get married, and you will just go through all these miseries internally. With no other people, but you just do it yourself, just in the brahmachari ashram. So Krishna may allow him to do that. Can we say that the disappearance of all these miseries, they go away externally, but also just the loss of health? Well, it's favorable only for the devotees. For pure devotees, everything is favorable. And then along the spiritual path, so what is the disciple supposed to think more about? How to fight the anarthas? Or maybe he's supposed to think not about purification, but about him being useful for the mission. So what would be more effective? When anartha is coming to the surface, a devotee should call up to Krishna immediately, because anartha is a big demon. It's like in the Leelas of Vrindavana, when there was some anartha, like Kesha, the master, Bakasura, Lakasura, all these demons. So what do Krishna's friends do? They call up to Krishna, right? Because how do you fight this demon? It's impossible. You can't defeat him, because mind is our demon. And Arjuna calls up to Krishna's Madhusudana, because Krishna, he has killed the demon Madhu. So Krishna says, now kill this demon of my mind, because I'm hesitating. So every time we feel some obstacle internally, we call up to Krishna, we chant Maha Mantra. Can we say that there's positive Krishna's consciousness, and there is a mentality that a person is concentrated more on some difficult side and some anarthas. And he may have this negative view. He reads Prabhupada's books and this devotee becomes even more, he has more negative thoughts. He's in depression, he falls into depression. I've met such devotee. He said, when I read these books, I become more depressed. Like everybody's gonna die, and I don't get the spiritual knowledge from these books. So he concentrates on this negative element, and it puts him to a very ineffective condition. Well, I've just answered your question. It's an ineffective situation, so you're not supposed to be doing that. So a devotee is not supposed to go through his anarthas. You have to develop Krishna's consciousness. You cannot fight anarthas, you cannot defeat them. If we could defeat them and become perfect, why would we need a spiritual master? The point is that no one can do that. That's why we rely on Krishna's consciousness method. It's not Anartha Katha, but Krishna Katha. That's what we are talking about. We think about anarthas when Krishna desires it. When circumstances in our life happens the way that it makes us to think, what kind of life am I leading? What's happening in my life? What am I even good for? Maybe I'm too proud, I'm too egoistic. So I should take a minute and think of where this anartha is situated at this moment. Then immediately understand what ahankara is. And I've read about it in the books 1,000 times, and then I understand it at last. Then I just go back to my devotional service, and that's it. Along this path, there are some subtle traps, because you've just talked about that they're little, but we have to purify them. Sometimes it's really hard to identify these traps. For example, among actors and artists, everyone thinks that he's a genius, right? But people that come to Krishna's consciousness, sometimes they can just hope that they are pure devotees, and either they want it or not, these devotees, they're looking for this recognition. So he wants to be a pure devotee, and it turns out he's looking for some benefit. And the position of a soul actually disappears. The position of a soul that he needs to serve. And if there are a lot of people like this, a few of them, there's like a subtle fight, or there's a subtle recognition. So these things, how does a devotee come over these things? Can he even see these things? Well, we admit that a person is a soul. According to his nature, he is eternal. He is the pure devotee of Krishna. We accept it. But we also have to accept another thing, that his nature might not be opened yet. The devotee should know that even though he might be pure devotee, but he's not opened yet, not discovered his potential yet. And when this potential gets open, he must accept spiritual master. So in Krishna's consciousness, so there's some false ego, right? And there's some truthful ego, and that's a good thing. I am a soul, right? So that's the right definition. So now let's do it practically. Are you a liberated soul? Or not a liberated one? So there are two types of souls, right? So you have to define it right now. Liberated or not liberated. If I'm liberated, I act this way. If I'm not liberated, I act another way. It's all prescribed. I call up to my spiritual master, ask him, Guru Maharaj, by some accident, I probably got liberated today. What do you think? So this way or another, your guru lets you understand. Just keep practicing. It will come to you with time.